So I'll call the meeting to order for Tuesday, 24 November, 2020 at 7:01 or 19:01. So first, I'm going to confirm member access. As a preliminary matter, this is Robert Holland, the Shrewsbury Electric and Cable Operations Commission chairperson. Please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Tony Trippi.
Yes.
Maria Lemieux.
Yes.
Kelly Marshall. Nothing heard. Mike Ruffolo. Nothing heard. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Christopher Roy, SELCO General Manager.
Here.
Kathy Reba, Administrative Assistant.
Here.
Joelle Malavar, Manager, Cable Ops.
Here.
Jackie Pratt, Marketing Manager.
Here.
Jonathan Malavar, Systems Engineer. Nope. Nothing heard. John Laverty, Manager of Electrical Ops.
Here.
Ralph Iacarino, Electric Systems Manager.
Here.
And Mike Quidadamo, Finance.
Here.
Okay. Introduction to remote meeting. Good evening. This open meeting of the SELCO Commission is being conducted remotely consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the SELCO Commission is convened by video conference via Google Meet as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and that you take care not to screen share your computer unless asked by the chairperson or the staff person. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Meeting business ground rules. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, please permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I, the chair, will introduce each board member or staff member who has the lead role for that particular item or guest speaker associated with this item on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members first and then to the staff members as necessary, inviting each by name to provide any comment or questions. I will then call upon the members to offer a motion and then for a second. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute and unmute your phone by pressing *6 or mute your computer when you are not speaking, as to not trigger your camera feed or background noise. Remember that unless a document is being shared, your camera feed is triggered by your speaking or background noise. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. And before we go on further, I'd like to thank SMC, who is helping us to record this and will broadcast the meeting at a later date. So thanks to Mark Serra and his SMC for their support. With that said, item 1 was calling the per the agenda, was to call the meeting to order, which we've done. The second is to review and consider approval of warrant and bill schedules. Before we do that, do we have any other board members that have joined us? I don't see
Kelly,
it.
I'm here.
Okay, Kelly, great. And
Yes.
so Mike Ruffolo is the only one that we don't have currently. Okay, with that said, do I have a motion to accept the warrants and bill schedules as provided?
So move.
Okay, Tony. And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Maria. So on a roll call vote, we'll vote to approve the warrants and with the proviso that I will personally sign the warrants for all of us via the town hall. I'll meet with Kathy Reber and or at least have it in the drop off and sign so we have official signature on those. With that said, roll call vote. We'll go with Tony Trippi.
Yes.
Kelly Marshall.
Yes.
Maria Lemieux.
Yes.
And Bob Holland, yes. So with that, the warrants and bill schedules are approved. Next on the agenda is review and consider approval of the minutes of October 19th, 2020. Do we have any comments? Tony, you have any comments on the minutes?
I do not.
Kelly, any comments?
No.
Okay, Maria, any comments?
I believe on page 7, there needs to be a correction on the bullet point that starts with October 14th. The second to last line, he joined in commended the response. I think we need to that's just a typo, and the commended needs to come out.
Okay, got it. And no other comments. I have no other comments other than that. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes as revised?
I so move.
Okay, Tony, and a second. I'll second it. We'll do a roll call vote to approve the minutes of October 19, 2020. Tony,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Maria,
Yes.
and Bob Holland is yes. So the minutes of October 19th, 2020 are approved. Moving to agenda item 4, review and consider approval electric cash statements of October 2020. Mr. Quintadamo, do you care to discuss these?
Sure. The electric cash statements, year to date for October 31, receipts were $30,548,000, about 8% lower than 2019 and 5% ahead of budgeted projection. I'll hit a little more if you'd like, so we cover the tens, as I call it. Items with 10% variance or more. Merchandise and jobbing receipts are about $215,000 more than 2019 and $250,000 more than budgeted. About $343,000 of unbudgeted solar farm recs from 2019 were received in 2020. The next line, around $957,000 more receipts were collected from other departments last year at this time, again with some front loading from the prior year in 2018 that came in. We're a little more even keel for 2020. Miscellaneous receipts are budgeted with a total of 2019 less any extraordinary receipts like the $204,000 reimbursement from MWIC for the Centec generator, $1.4 million in MWIC transmission credits, and $515,000 decommissioning of a power plant. In comparison, we'll talk a little more about that in the financial statements. Receipts from MWIC for credits for transmission. Essentially, we haven't had any in 2020. So that's a considerable variance when you're comparing to 1.4 million. Total cash expenditures of $27,599,000, or 13% less than 2019 and 8% less than the budgeted projection. Although operating expenses have surpassed 2019 by $299,000, they're not enough to meet our projection by $118,000. Expenditures due from other departments are up $218,000 over last year and $209,000 over forecast, showing a similar pattern to operating expenses. The annual contracts that come due in December will impact that trend. To date, COVID expenses of about $101,000 have been expended and submitted for reimbursement. Inventory purchases of $91,000 this year do not include any fuel inventory purchases, which were budgeted for $83,000, although other inventory purchases are off by $88,000. Capital expenditures to date have only totaled 1.2 mil and are $1.7 million less than budgeted. Major projects that have not met scheduled expenditure include the following: the AMI project off by 1.2 million, Beal School off by 144,000, the C13 to 11th Circuit off by 130,000, the R13-4 and R13-5 circuits off by 125,000, and the National Grid NPCC directory off by 83,000. Those are the major ones there. All that leaves total available funds at October 31st, 2020 at $18,660,000. That balance is 24% greater than 2019 and 27% more than projected. There you have the electric.
Electric cash statements. Let's, Tony, any questions of?
Yeah, on that Centec generator there, that's because we're considered transmitter? Is that why we get that credit?
No, that was money that we paid out of pocket last year, and MWIC reimbursed us for it.
Oh, okay. All right. No other question.
Okay, Kelly, any questions? Kelly, they're not hearing anything. Go to Maria.
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. And the only question that I have for you, Michael, is that some of the expenditures or some of the jobs that you were talking about, like the Beal School project and like it's a lot. Is that some of that some actually really savings rather than we didn't expend the money? It's not like we're not producing or working fast enough. It's we're working more efficiently. I'd like to. You concur?
Not that I saw.
Okay, Chris, you want to? Can you perhaps elaborate a little bit more on that?
Sure. Well, I appreciate that question because, I apologize with the not being fully up to speed on the Beal School project as a whole, but I would say at least that would be, in terms of my budgeting philosophy, that is the hope that when we do a project like that and we are actually able to find those efficiencies, that it does result in that. I would have to defer to Mr. Laverty to confirm whether or not that was actually the case for this particular project. But typically for Beal School, C1311 circuits, R13-4, those types of projects, at least in my experience, are the ones that do come in with those types of variances because the way we budget and forecast how construction might go. If we can beat those targets, then that comes out favorably.
Okay, thanks, Christopher. John Laverty, do you have any comments, or Ralph Iagarino on the electric side on those budgets?
I can speak to AMI and the NGrid NPCC directory. AMI, we had anticipated getting off to a pretty good start in 2020, but for several reasons, and the pandemic is not the only one, that project has been delayed. So we will be expending the AMI project dollars delayed a little bit, most likely in 2021 through 2023 or 4. That was a 1.2 million, and I think we had a budget amount for a total of 2 to 3 million for that project over 2 to 3 years. The NGrid NPCC directory, that is for work that has to be done at the Rolf Ave substation for National Grid to meet NPCC criteria, and they did not go forward with that work in 2020. Our expectation is that they will proceed in 2021. That's upgrading the fence and several other mostly physical security criteria to make the substation less susceptible to bad actors, if you will.
Okay, thank you, Ralph. And John Laverty, do you want to update on any of your projects?
Yes, the C1311 project has been delayed with the reconstruction and reconfiguration of the Route 20 corridor. So that changed our plan going forward since the budget was approved last year till now. The R13-4 and 5, the R13-4 and 5 will be, part of it will be complete this year. So estimated total cost for this year is approximately $60,000 coming out of that budget, which will be complete by December 11th. It actually starts on Monday. Installing new duct banks and new conduit system for fiber and for electric. The Beale School project, we did come under budget on that because there was a redesign of that project as we were building it. And there was some cost savings to that. Bob, you muted.
Very good. I have no further questions on the electric cash statements. Do I have a motion to accept the electric cash statements?
I move we accept the electric cash statements, Tony.
Okay. I'll second that. Roll call vote to accept the electric cash statements. Tony?
Yes.
Kelly? Kelly, nothing heard. You're muted.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Now we can't. Okay, Maria?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and yes from Kelly, okay, and yes from Bob. Okay, next, Michael, back to you for electric financial statements from September 2020.
Okay. Through the third quarter of 2020, kilowatt hour sales were up 3% to budget and even with 2019. The operating revenue for the same period up 3.4% to budget and 1.2 up to 2019. Operating expenses, total operating expenses through the third quarter, 3% less than projection and 6.5% below 2019. Generation expenses were 15% less than forecast and 22% less than forecast, and that should read 22% less than 2019. My apologies for that one. Fuel usage at the peaking plant has been negligible compared to last year, and the budget, given milder weather and alternative SELCO generation is responsible for that. Transmission costs through September were 19% more than 2019 and 16% greater than the MWIC budgeted transmission. To date, like I said, we have only received $205,000 in transmission rebate payments, and those were from National Grid. Historically, MWIC has provided substantial rebate payments. To date, we have not received any. Non-power related expenses were probably most impacted, were probably the ones that most impacted by the pandemic, with government reimbursements and less business activity. Distribution expenses were up 24% to last year and about 2% more than forecast. Compared to 2019, there has been greater line maintenance cost in 2020. Other income and deductions. Other income was 13% and $17,000 less than 2019, and even with projection. Revenue from pole accidents settlements totaled $37,000 compared to the $56,000 in 2019. That leaves us with net income as the result of everything above and depreciation of about $1.8 million. SELCO Electric experienced net income of $4.3 million through September. That can be compared to income of 3.1 million for the same period in 2019 and budgeted net income of 2.9 million.
Okay, thank you. Tony, do you have any questions of Mike?
Just on the pole accident settlements, how does that work? Insurance companies pay if someone smashes a pole?
Yeah, and we use a subrogator as well, because they when we were doing it ourselves, we were kind of getting pushed around a little bit by insurance carriers. These folks know how to deal with them, and they're getting better percentages of what the cost is for us.
Oh, good.
Okay. Kelly, any questions?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you. Maria?
No, thank you.
Okay, and I have no questions. Do we have a motion to accept the electric financial statements as presented for September 2020?
Move to accept the financial statements?
Okay, I'll second that. Roll call vote, Tony?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yep,
Maria?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, and Bob, yes. Okay, moving on to the item 6, review and consider approval of cable cash statements for October 2020. Again, Michael.
Okay. Through October 31st, cable cash receipts totaled 18.2 million. That's about a percentage point more than 2019, and even with forecast. So we look in the smaller items in that segment. Other operating revenues of 292,000 compared to 2019, or they compared to 2019 and are up 254,000 to budget. Extraordinary items included $184,000 for COVID reimbursements, $75,000 in scrap sales, and a refund of $51,000 from Gray Bar for a duplicate payment. They go out through the expense, come back in when we receive the refund check in that case. So it's a little in and out. So it's negligible or zero. It's a wash overall, but that's why you see a bump in it. Advertising receipts of were $17,000 less than 2019 and $63,000 less than forecasts. Restaurants closing during the pandemic and negligible bump from what we anticipated for political advertising are factors in that. Cash expenditures, overall cash expenditures of about 14 mil. We're even with 2019 and 18% less than the budgeted expenditures. The most significant influence comes from the ordinary plant investment line through October. The 1.4 million expended is ahead of 2019 by $658,000, but behind budget by 3.6 million. The fiber to the home project is under expended for the year by about 3.5 million. Other projects under expended included ongoing fiber installs by about 143,000 and server upgrades of 25,000. The through October, other plant expenditures were 7,000 less than last year and 247,000 less than budget. The following projects were behind the budgeted schedule. The E7 OLT upgrades by 137,000, wireless router inventory by 60,000, head-end racks by 25,000, and digital converter inventory by 26,000. Inventory is, likely a product of not only purchases, but what we have in storage for that. So they can vary. The OLT upgrades is the same kind of an ongoing thing. And the head end racks that budget is also going to appear in 2021. So that's where that lies. Total available funds on October 31 were 30.8 million, and that balance is 19% better than 2019 and 12% ahead of forecast, all due to the aforementioned details.
Thank you, Mike.
Mhm.
Tony, any questions of Mike on the cable cash statements?
Yeah, I got some trash I want to get rid of. Can I get rid of $75,000? How'd you get $75,000 scrap sales? What does that mean?
Must be all copper.
I think we might have also gotten rid of some vehicles
Hmm.
too in that.
Okay.
Okay. Kelly, any questions? Okay. Maria?
Yeah, I do have a question about the $51,000 duplicate payment that you got a reimbursement for. Why wasn't that just offset against the expense as opposed to picking it up as income? Was it something that happened in the prior year?
Because this is the cash report, the cash statement, and the cash flows in and it flows out. So we had it flowing out and this is flowing in. On the financial statement, we would match the
It'll just be a wash on the financial statement, but
right,
just to show
right.
all the, you just wanted to show all the cash coming in?
right,
Okay.
right.
Okay, and I have no questions. Do I have a motion to accept the report from Michael on the cable cash?
So move.
Okay, I'll second it. Roll call vote. Tony?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, Maria?
Yes.
Bob? Yes. Okay, moving on to item 7, review and consider approval, cable financial statement, September 2020. Mike, this is your final report, I think. Go ahead, please.
Okay. All right. Total operating revenues through September, we're running 3.3% less than budgeted and a point behind 2019. Signal sales are running about 2% behind forecast and 5% less than last year, with digital basic subscriptions running about 4% under budget and 10% down to 2019. Year to date, 493 subscribers have dropped video service. Internet revenue is 4% less than forecast, while still 7% better than last year. The budget projected conversion to higher speed options driving more revenue. So it's a little off from that. Telephone revenues were budgeted to decline through the year. The decline is slower, and it is actually 1% ahead of budget, while 6% ahead of last year. Going on to operating expenses, overall operating expenses are about 6% or $495,000 less than budgeted, and at the midpoint we're about 5% and $359,000 below 2019. There's another typo. Rather than midpoint, that probably should read at the third quarter turn there. Coming into the home stretch. Dollar-wise, signal expenses had the largest variances. They were $580,000 and 8% less than 2019, and $500,000 and 7% less than budgeted. The only line to surpass the 10% variance was other income. It came in about 13% less than projected and 4% less than 2019. The budget anticipated a bump in advertising revenue from the election season ads. The impact of the election season turned out to be negligible in comparison to the bump we got from the 2016 presidential election. Net income of $3 $0.97 million at the end of September is 214,000 greater than net income through September 2019 and 1.4% ahead of the forecasted year-to-date net income of $3.9 million.
Thank you, Mike.
Mhm.
Tony, any questions for Mike on his cable financial statement?
No, I don't.
Kelly? Maria?
No.
Okay, and I have no questions either. Motion to accept the cable financial statements.
So moved.
Okay, and a second. So roll call vote, Tony?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Okay. Maria?
Yes.
Okay, and Bob Holland, yes. Okay, now, next to be in the line of fire is, I think, Jackie Pratt to discuss cable rates. Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
At this time of year, we like to try and evaluate what our rate structure should be for the following year. As you know, every 3 years we have to negotiate retransmission consent for our local broadcast channels. And typically we have a few different channel network groups that are up for renegotiation towards the end of the year that NCTC would handle. This year is a retrans year. We have a couple of the agreements that we're negotiating with direct agreements between us and the channel owners. And we do have one of the big four networks, CBS, which is being negotiated through NCTC using the buying group model, which is now available to us. Because of the long lead time here on these negotiations, we're not really in a spot where we can put our finger on exactly where the rates are going to fall at the end of these negotiations. So out of, taking the approach to make sure that our rates are in alignment with what our costs are, we're really recommending that we hold off on making any rate decisions until the December meeting, which would put us in alignment for a rate increase to go into effect February 1st. So that's kind of the overview.
Okay, better to, instead of sending some interim rate, which then whipsaws everybody in January and then coming back a month or two later to do a refinement to that, it's best to hold everything back and wait until 1 February so we get a best and final whatever presentation number to the public.
Yeah, the negotiations so far have been moving along all right with Hearst, which is the ABC affiliate owner here in the Boston market. And as I said, CBS has been negotiating with NCTC. We actually haven't seen a contract yet from WFXT's owners. Cox owns that station affiliated with Fox. So that makes it really, really challenging because we don't even know what their worst case opening offer is to us. We did do a survey of customers to kind of get a bead on how they're feeling about rates in terms of how much more they're willing to pay, or if the rates go up a particular amount, what their action will be. I've included that information in the commission package for you as well.
Okay, great. I think it's more of a discussion on the rates than any necessary vote. I think we're going to kick this can down the road till December. So we'll keep that on the open agenda item, and we'll resolve that. With that said, that finishes up item 8, which was cable rate discussion. And Jackie, I think you're up for item 9, the review and consider approval, the share the warmth funding.
So with this particular agenda item, we're asking the commission to vote to appropriate surplus funds in the amount of $10,000 to the Share the Warmth Fund. Typically, we do fundraisers throughout the year at different community events. As you know, in 2020, there were no community events. It's been a really challenging year for a lot of our customers. We also had a moratorium throughout the summer months where we were not allowed to terminate. So we have some folks with very high bills that are eventually going to be coming due. So our Share the Warmth program, we're also concerned about the number of donations we may be receiving from customers as well. So.
Okay, so what you're making a motion is that we take $10,000 out of surplus and put that towards Share the Warmth. And can you just give a rundown quickly to what is Share the Warmth for our viewing audience?
Sure. So the Share the Warmth program provides funding to customers in need. And we take 100% of funds donated to go to Shrewsbury residents. And it's administered through, social service agencies like Shrewsbury the Family, the Council on Aging.
Okay, and is that money just for electric bill payments versus SOAR, which is the kind of another program that's in town? I thought some years ago that handled oil.
Yes, so SOAR is for oil, Share the Warmth is for electric.
Okay. So any of the board members have any questions for Jackie on that topic? Tony?
No.
Okay. Kelly? No, we'll take that as a no question. Okay, Maria?
I just think maybe one more thing that you might want to explain again for the viewers is how the money is dispersed, like how the decision is made on who gets this, or how does somebody get this
Sure.
reimbursement?
So our partner agencies like Shrewsbury Youth and Family, Council on Aging, St. Anne's Human Services, they actually take the applications and process them for us. They determine need based on a number of different criteria, and applications are due, I think, for usually March 1st, I believe, and then we distribute in March. So there's time.
Okay, thank you.
I have no questions. Do we have a motion to approve the use of $10,000 in surplus funds to be invested in the Share the Warmth funding?
Yes, I'd make that motion. I think it's a good cause.
Okay, do we have a second? I'll second it. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Tony?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Maria?
Yes.
Okay, and Bob Holland, yes. So with that said, we've approved $10,000 additional funding to go to Share the Warmth for this year. Okay, and we go to the, well, I guess the final agenda item. We could turn it over to Chris Roy for our ops brief.
Thank you. So yeah, just touching on some of the bigger items here, kind of starting at the top. I know we had distributed this to everyone when the article was released, but I just wanted to call attention again to the Hydro-Quebec partnership that we pursued with MWIC to basically leverage our access to the transmission lines up to Canada for really a win-win project in terms of firm, clean energy and income from those transmission rights. So again, that's just that same link, but there are a couple of other press releases that have been posted out there on the interwebs, if you will. Let me plug it into Google, but I think that was a really exciting opportunity, and we're looking at others like that. And same on the power supply front. You know, some of this, just to cover this, as it doesn't necessarily make some of the other operating discussion topics. One of the things we have on our plate now, and folks may recall, we have a rebate program for incentivizing solar adoption. That match has funding from the state. That's due to expire at the end of this year, and we're working to see if we can get that extended. But as everyone can imagine, the current state of affairs with COVID has taken the attention away from a lot of different things and funding. So we're working on that. There's no final answer to that at the moment. But from our side, the things we can control, currently our protocols essentially limit system size from 10 kW to 15. And so in an effort to try and we have a couple of pending applications that we'd like to process before the expiration of these programs at the end of this year. And then I guess perhaps at our December meeting, we may have more of an update, but the extension of those programs with or without state aid would be a worthwhile topic to come. But before that happens, we have a couple of applications in that 15 kW realm. And so one of the things I just wanted to call attention to that is the system size limits are largely determined by the engineering behind our system capacities. And so what we're looking at doing is just broadening our interconnection requirements to give a little bit more flexibility to the engineering analysis. So that way folks that might have an opportunity to implement a 15 kW type of array, or perhaps larger, that we can make those decisions based on actual system conditions rather than some kind of system size that might be a catch-all, but we have that capacity in other areas of town. So we're looking to do that in short order, just to get these applications in from a couple of residents before the end of the year. So that's kind of the power supply side. The cable side, I know we've talked about a little bit, so I'll call attention. As much as we like the fiber project to keep pace with the bandwidth needs, we have seen the need to do some more node splits. So just a bullet point there on the fact that we're continuing to do that. The one I did want to call attention to is the bullet point number 2 on the Sterling side of things. We've been in contact with them quite a bit over the last couple of weeks because their board and their community is very, very excited at the prospects of a municipal broadband network in their town. And so we've outlined, as of the last few days, actually, we've outlined a couple of options that may be worth their consideration. They had their own board meeting last night. I'm not quite sure what the outcome of that was, but they were voting on a couple of investments to support that based on advice from our team. And so, but I think the key component there is, their community is very, very excited, and with our ability to support that, and actually, if I may, I'll add one added layer of detail to that, where the 3 options really that we've outlined are an existing model that we currently implement, where and Sterling's in this bucket, but we're Sterling, Braintree, and Norwood, we're that bulk bandwidth provider. And so that's a source of revenue with that type of bulk relationship with the community. The second one is where it's basically we are granted access to their consumers through, say, a Sterling-owned fiber network. So basically, someone calls us as if they were in Shrewsbury and say, "Hey, look, we'd like service," and instead of the address popping up as Shrewsbury, it would pop up as Sterling, and we'd roll a truck, to that community. And so there's there's a partnership and revenue model there as well. And then the third option, which they're exploring, is really their own type of startup option, where they procure the materials, they procure the fiber, they do the installs, and really it goes back to that bulk model that I believe I listed as option number 1. But they can leverage our expertise in more of a time and materials capacity, where they don't have the internal resources at the moment for splicing and installs and whatnot. But almost similar to mutual aid on the electric side, we can dispatch crews to support them with some of those efforts. If that is a good situation for both. They also have obviously the options for outside contractors. So those are kind of the 3 we discussed, and those, I believe, are the ones that were up for consideration by their board to see what was a good fit for their community. Retransmission we did discuss as a separate dedicated agenda item. So we just had that in there for emphasis. A couple other things, just things that may not have or that are new, perhaps. We did post for the HR role that closed on Friday. We started reviewing the applicants actually today. So we're actually really excited. I think we have some good candidates, and this is going to really help button up some of our internal management of our human capital, being, well, us on this call. But this is, I really think, a key component. Obviously, I'm biased, but a really key component to staying current with the rapidly evolving utility world that we're in today. Things have never changed this fast, and we're facing, huge amounts of retirements and turnover and knowledge transfer and recruiting. So this role is going to be busy for a long time. So I'm really excited. We have some good options there. And then I guess it looks like I'm hitting all of these, so I apologize. But COVID operations, another one just to keep in mind, with everyone's up to speed with what's going on in the world, and this is our first pandemic holiday season. And so in an effort to be conservative with the critical role we play in making sure everyone has connectivity and electricity, we've moved back to a more regimented AB schedule where folks have been assigned to authorized reporting weeks. And even so, we kind of went, I believe, I don't know if this was what it was referred to in the past for this group, but it was kind of an A1, B1, A2, B2. And so what we've done in that respect is we've had very good success working from home with a lot of positions, customer service, help desk, IT, accounting. So we've asked those folks to continue to operate in that capacity. And on the field side, what we've done is we have a number of training programs. Obviously, as anyone can imagine, training has moved largely virtual anyway. And so a lot of our OSHA training, safety training, in addition to some workforce development opportunities, we've moved that to the off weeks for field resources. So I consider it a win-win, where we get our training opportunities in, leverage the fact that things are virtual, and we get our extra social distancing, if you will, by having those crews able to do training on off weeks, and then we have a crew in to do the day-to-day operations. And in the grand scheme of things, if we, through the holiday season, we for argument's sake, call that 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. We'll see where things stand in the new year. That's really, in the grand scheme of life, that's not a whole lot of time lost for safety and really the insurance policy of having our workforce, available, for the inevitable blizzards. And just last thing, since it ties in with the Shared Warmth program, one of the things I just continue to want to highlight a little bit is I sat in with the home heating group for the first time, and one of the things that I think is worthwhile to add to the discussion, rather than just the normal, how do you fill an oil tank, oil heat, gas heat? There's additional advantages, especially in a community like Shrewsbury and other MLP towns where shut off, you're not worried about filling an oil tank or filling a propane tank or gas lines are a little bit different. So I'd say it's not as applicable to that, but shut-offs, given the critical nature of electricity during the winter months, as everyone knows, we have the moratorium, and included in that is heat. So if you have a heat pump, if you have electric heat, and you're having trouble throughout this, the holiday season, the winter season, there is still, there's still that safety net for you that we're not going to go shut you off. So I mean, you could look at your oil tank all you want, but the oil is going to run out. We'll keep the power on for you, and do our normal partnership programs to continue to help folks weather hard times. But that's just another perhaps little known or little discussed advantage to electricity to help the folks that might need it most, and get over the hurdles. So I just added that in there. I made a little comment about that with the home heating group, but I just wanted to call attention to it here.
Thank you. Any, Tony, any questions for Christopher?
No.
Oh,
Okay. Let's see. Kelly, any questions?
No.
No. Okay. And Maria?
No.
Okay. And neither do I. Does any of the board members have any other issues? Or Christopher, you look giving me a.
yeah. No, I'm sorry. I forgot two key elements. You know, I got long-winded there, so if you'd indulge me for another 30 seconds. In the marketing section that Jackie incorporated here, which is, I think, two important points to call attention to. The Smart Energy Provider designation. So that's, again, just the recognition of SELCO's efforts in the energy space. The description's there. So, again, in the interest of not getting long-winded again, that's another great designation. That's a reflection of SELCO's leadership in this field. And so that's something I think we'll continue to tout as an accomplishment. And so, again, there's some press releases on that, but that's a great one. And then in that same theme, the Nepa Customer Service Award, if anyone ever calls up and you get Tiffany. So you see in there, she received the Carol A. Tracy Award for Customer Service from Nepa. That's another great achievement. You know, again, as I get to know people better and better, as much as I can virtually, Tiffany's been great. I see her when I go to the office too. So that's not a surprise, but I just wanted to call attention to that, as it's certainly well deserved, and so I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that as a noteworthy point.
Okay. Christopher, should we have Joelle just give an update on what the cable stuff is, how we're doing on that as far as fiber and whatnot?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Joelle, do you mind giving us just a quick update on how your folks are working?
Yes. Yes. So for example, like Chris mentioned, we completed the second round of node splits. Some of the areas were hitting 80%. We brought them all down to being under 50% capacity. So that should give us plenty of bandwidth on the cable plant throughout the upcoming years. On the fiber to the home build out, we were able to award all the IFBs, or invitation for bids, to 3 contractors. Basically, it stayed within Phoenix, which is a local fiber builder that actually has offices in Shrewsbury. The other was Triwire, which is located, they work and operate out of Auburn, and Certex is coming from Connecticut. So all of these builders, you'll see them through town. You see trucks. We are mostly hitting the northern side of the town, as I highlighted in some of the maps that I showed during the operating brief, showing all the locations that the IFBs are covering. And completion for some of them are into next year, which is kind of how Mike Widadam was explaining. There is about $3.5 million that we're carrying over into 2021 as the builds are going to be completed in the beginning of 2021. Questions?
I know one of the things that we had talked about in the past is the actual supply of fiber.
Yes, and well, again, luckily for this phase, we have most of the materials. There is a few drops that haven't arrived yet, but we have close to, I would say, 92-95% of the materials that are needed for this phase. We're already working into the other phases so that we can start ordering fiber, and we see it sometime in the middle of next year, mid next year.
Okay, thank you. Tony, do you have any questions for Joelle?
I do not.
Christopher?
No.
Okay. Kelly, any questions for Joelle or Christopher?
No, thank you.
Okay. And Maria?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. With that said, entertain a motion to accept the operation brief as presented.
So move.
Okay, I'll second that. And we'll do a roll call vote to accept the operations brief. Tony?
Yes.
Okay, Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, and Maria?
Yes.
And Bob is yes. I think this concludes our meeting unless anybody else in the staff or within the board has anything else to discuss. Our next meeting will be Monday, December 21st at 7 p.m. Not seeing anybody's hands being raised, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Okay, I'll second it. Okay, roll call vote to adjourn. Tony?
Yes.
Uh, uh, Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, Maria?
Yes.
And Bob? Yes, okay, and the time is now what, 19:56, okay, or 7:56. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah, take care.